Cześć, hello, witam and welcome to Pierogi to Prayer, the official podcast of St. Joseph's Polish Apostolate of the Diocese of Camden, coming to you from our historic home at 1010 Liberty Street in Camden, New Jersey, the heart of South Jersey's Polonia for over 130 years. I am your host, Michael Matulewicz. There is likely no other time of the year that enlivens the spirit of tradition for Poles more than that of the Christmas season. If you tuned into last year's December episode, and if you haven't, I encourage you to go back and have a listen, you would now know that Polish households were from a myriad of sacred rites and traditions that emphasize the deep spiritual significance of the holiday, but also maintain the deep bonds of family and friendship. The sacred Vigilia, or Christmas Eve supper with its opłatek, waiting for the first star to appear to eat, and then off to Pasterka, the shepherd's midnight mass, and plenty of gift-giving and warm wishes for the new year. Naturally, of course, where there is a holiday, family, tradition, and Polish people, there is also food. Lots and lots of it. And usually it's washed down with a shot of vodka or two, or three, or, well, you get the picture. The foods that identify the Polish Christmas table are the stuff of recipes passed down through generations of our ancestors, uniting the present with the mystical past. There is something quite magical and comforting in sharing these types of meals in Polish households, a feeling of home and tradition, of being part of a heritage much bigger than yourself. Yet also for families, the Hallmark Channel image of holiday gatherings can also walk hand in hand with painful moments. Conflicts and grudges between Uncle Stanisław or Cousin Josephine, sadness at the absence of your brother due to work, military service, or some other reason, and of course, that first Christmas Eve, after the death of Babcia or Jaju, often also makes the holidays a difficult time. For many of us, the element that unites us through good times and bad is the cuisine of our culture. Indeed, the very title of our program, Pierogi to Prayer, contains a reference to the most distinctive food in Polish culture. It is in that spirit, then, that we eagerly welcome our guest today. Karolina Klesta is the founder of the Polish internet sensation Polish Foodies. Through her online community and social media presence, Karolina has developed thousands of followers, eager to learn about Polish food and culture. We were so very fortunate to have her sit down with us to talk about what makes Polish food so special, as well as many of her favorite recipes. Yet, like everything with Polish culture, our conversation also touched on many other topics: family, faith, history, and the generational trauma that comes with being a Pole are part of that heritage as much as the Wigilia meal is. No doubt, the conversation will leave you with plenty to chew on metaphorically, but also, I would advise you not to listen to this on an empty stomach, as the subject matter will no doubt have you running to your kuchnia, or kitchen, at your first opportunity, or to your local Polish deli. With that, on to our conversation with Karolina.
Karolina, dzień dobry, good morning.
Dzień dobry.
Thank you so much for being on Pierogi to Prayer. This is such a delight.
It's
to
my
be
pleasure.
Here. It's very, very exciting. A lot of people who are looking forward to this episode, and as am I. So maybe just start out by kind of giving a little bit of an introduction to people who might not know who you are. According to your website, you have over 100,000 people on your Facebook community, 4,000 plus happy customers, and the author of 10 plus cookbooks, which is just remarkable.
Yeah.
So just kind of give us a little bit of background.
Yes. My name is Karolina. I'm a founder of the Polish Foodies. I started as a blogger where I shared my recipes for Polish food. And then I published my cookbooks. There are 10 of them right now. I'm also an influencer, and my way to promote Polish culture, cuisine, traditions, history, everything is by making short, fun videos about everything that is happening in Poland, because I'm living in Poland right now. And I also was born in Poland.
What section of Poland are you
I'm
in?
from Podkarpacie, That's close to the
Okay.
border with Ukraine and Slovakia. So for many people, it may be a dangerous place right now, but I don't feel like it because we have so many military in this area, including American soldiers. So it's very safe. I think it's one of the safest place right now, even though the Ukraine war is just behind the border.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's seen Ukraine on the news, and just still blows my mind that it can be 2025 and we have a war like this.
Yeah,
The international situation is just
it's a heavy topic.
so. How did you get into Polish cooking?
So I've been cooking like forever because I've been raised by my mom, grandma, everybody was cooking, including my dad as well. So that was something I've always loved. I've also loved eating, probably eating more than cooking at the beginning, but then I got into cooking more and more. Born and raised in Poland, and I've always wanted to explore more, leave Poland, not live here, because I didn't really like the country when I was a teenager. I was thinking that life is better abroad, not in Poland, because I've been watching American movies when everything seems to be so great and rich, and I've just wanted to travel. And when I met my husband Patrick, we decided to travel the world. So we've been traveling the world for 4 years. We were digital nomads, so that means that we were working online and lived in many places around the world, mostly in Asia, Southeast Asia, but we also went to the US, Canada. So it's been a long journey. And along the way, I started to realize that Poland is not that bad, that Poland is a great country. We have wonderful food and cuisine and traditions, but the main problem is that we have a really low self-esteem, and we don't really know how to appreciate our traditions. And it's all about the history, of course, because Poland was repressed for so many years that we have like it's very strong to think that something is probably wrong with us. And it was this 4 years of travel was like a healing journey for me. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and we needed to decide where we are going to live. And we made a decision that it will be Poland. So it was our choice because we could live anywhere in the world. And we moved to Poland, close to my family. Right now, I'm living in my family house, so close to my grandma, my grandfather, my uncle, aunties, cousins. Everybody is close. I'm living in a small town, and I love this life in here. And it's completely different with this perspective of seeing so many other countries, because in total I visited more than 60 countries in the world. Yeah, I love Poland.
Yeah, that's great. It's fine. I love to travel too. I always have, and my wife as well. And when we were in Austria a couple years ago, we saw a sign on a building, and it said, "The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only a page."
Yeah, I know this quote. It's great.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love it, and it's so interesting that you say about the self esteem issue, with Poles seeing that towards their own heritage, and it because here it's, especially, kind of the people that we've surrounded ourselves are people who are so proud of their Polish heritage and their Polish traditions. And I kind of appreciate you saying that, though, about kind of just like always looking back. And here it certainly is. It's like, oh, well, we look back at our ancestors that came or what have you, but there's always that sense of repression or that sense of sadness, I think, sometimes, where my in-laws are from Poland, and they came over in the 80s when communism was still in place, and my ancestors came over 100 years ago, when Poland wasn't even a country. And so I think that there's sometimes there's a call for that, to sort of think about Poland a little differently now, how it is, and reflecting on those traditions and that history. But And I think about that for the next generation. My wife and I, we have a 6-month-old son, and he's by default a Polish citizen, and we want to raise him with an appreciation of that heritage, but also to know that Poland today is not the Poland it was.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's so different. But also Polish Americans have completely different perspective on Poland. And what you said that they are very proud of being Polish, it's not the case here in Poland. Most people just can't really even understand what I'm doing, because for them all the content that I'm creating on their or the recipes that I'm sharing, it's like normal. And I often got asked about, well, why do I do it? Like, what's the point? It's normal. Everybody knows how to make something or how to make kanapka. It's like pointless. I think my perspective of traveling the world helped me understand like different view on Poland. And I absolutely love Polish Americans because the majority of people in my community are Polish Americans. And the way you like appreciate being Polish and the way you are proud of everything being Polish is pretty amazing, and I love it. And actually, one of my goals in the future is to show Polish people in Poland your perspective. So create content in Poland in Polish language so that they understand your perspective. And what I'm doing in the Polish Foodies is connecting America, Australia, UK, Polish diaspora around the world with Poland. And right now I'm doing it one way from Poland abroad. And in the future, I want to make it another way to show this perspective of people who were born in the US or in Australia and they have Polish parents or grandparents, because their perspective is completely different. However, I think we all share the same trauma about all this war trauma. I can see that it's very similar. And it's really sad that for some people, their Polish parents or grandparents, they didn't really want to talk about everything that bad that happened during the war, especially during the war, people who were like left Poland after World War II. Many of them didn't really speak about what happened, and their kids or grandkids, I think they carry this trauma, and they try to deal with it somehow, but they can't talk with the people, their ancestor who passed away. So I think trauma is also what connects us all.
I couldn't agree more with that. I really couldn't. I mean, I'm really into Polish genealogy, and in doing it, I've found out so much about my family in Poland. Even though they came over 100 years ago, for the previous 100 years, it seems like they were involved in every major uprising, every major event, and I never ever heard about it.
Mhm.
Never heard about it. And it wasn't just that. I think that time period, that 100-year separation, it was also because my grandfather knew his grandparents, but never knew any of this stuff. And there was such a pressure to become integrated into America, especially in the 50s, after the war and all of that. A lot of that did get lost, and it wasn't talked about because it was painful. And then now here we are decades later rediscovering that. And it's like, why didn't you talk about this? So it's, yeah, but that's how trauma works.
Yeah.
A lot of times, it shocks you into paralysis with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and we like to remind ourselves, I think, of that constantly. There's always the commemorations for events during the war or what have you. You see. We're actually, the September episode I'm put together is memories of World War II from people in the parish, but mostly their parents and grandparents who came over,
Right,
because it is, and it's
the war started in
yeah,
September, that's why, right?
that's exactly why I wanted to do it then, because it is, I don't want those stories to get lost, and the ones that we do know. So
Yeah. And I think like what Polish people have, I think it's also because of the trauma, and maybe you can like relate to that, is for example storing food or storing something, like have a big storage of food, canning food, everything just in case. And it's all like about trauma, because for example when I was in Asia, in Thailand, some people like don't even have the fridges, or the fridges are really small because they don't need big fridge. The food is there all the time, it's warm, and the concept is completely different, because in Poland we just want to have something just in case, and it's food, money, everything just in case, because we subconsciously like think that something bad may happen. That's in Poland. I'm not sure about Polish Americans, but that's in Poland for sure. Like everybody has it in here.
Yeah, I Polish Americans are the same way,
Okay.
and I don't know if it's necessarily just a Polish thing. It might, because my grandparents were raised during the Depression,
Okay.
so everything was saved.
Oh, okay.
But I noticed that in my in-laws and more recent immigrants on my wife's side, that is part of it. There is certainly the canning and preserves and stuff like that is, yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that being a possible factor. I thought it was just because. So I've learned something new already, which
Okay.
is great. So let's talk about Polish food, and what kind of makes it unique. So now, being from Podkarpackie
Yeah.
and having traveled all around Poland and around the world, so what are kind of some native regional dishes too? I mean, I have your cookbook, so I'm sure there's some of it. Um, so maybe talk about the food of Podkarpackie
Karpackie.
first, since that's what you grew up with.
Yeah, so we have soda bread. It's called proziaki. It's quite popular here, and it's getting more and more popular, which is great. Because, for example, in the restaurants, we have burgers with this soda bread, not with the burger bun like we did in the past. We also have fuczki, which is like potato pancakes but made from sauerkraut. I love this food because it's more healthy than potatoes. It's you do it exactly the same, but you use sauerkraut instead of potatoes, and you serve it with sour cream, and it's really delicious. And so these are the main two that I use in my kitchen. However, Polish food is very diversified, so you have a regional food in every region of Poland. What I also noticed that Polish people abroad think that we only eat kielbasa and meat all the time. Polish food, like the basic of Polish food, was vegetarian or even vegan, because people didn't have meat, like it was very expensive. That's why pierogi is so popular, because it's very basic. The basic recipe for pierogi requires just flour, water, salt, onion, potatoes, and that's it. Like you don't need anything else. Even the farmer's cheese is not necessary. So it's 5 ingredients, completely vegan. Also, I'm from Podkarpacie, but my husband is from Wielkopolska, and the food is quite different. For example, on Vigilia, when I was the first time on the Vigilia Christmas Eve dinner, I didn't really know what to eat because it was completely different. They didn't have pierogi. So for me, it was like, wow, what I am supposed to eat without pierogi on Vigilia. And they have like mainly fish and also potatoes, which was pretty awkward. I don't have potatoes on my Vigilia. So it's very, very different. Even though Poland is small, the food is diversified.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I knew that there were regional varieties, and it's kind of interesting. There's small things that, so I one of the dishes that I kind of had heard about, remember, was charnina,
Yes.
which we had made in my family, and I asked my mother-in-law about it, and she was like, I've never made that. I've no idea. And when I started thinking about it and talking about it, it was because my family's from an area where there are a lot of lakes. So there are a lot of ducks around. Whereas, and for our listeners who don't know, charnina is duck blood soup.
Yeah.
Um, and which could sound revolting, I think, to a lot of people. But my in-laws who lived in the South, where, wasn't as it was
Yeah.
mostly just farmland. It really didn't have that exposure. So, and that makes sense, for a kind of a peasant people who didn't move around a lot. That was what you would probably eat, was something that was locally available.
Yeah, but I think it was popular everywhere in the past, because czarna polewka, czarnina is also czarna polewka, and we have this soup mentioned in Polish, like I don't remember, probably Pantadeusz, or I don't remember the book, like one of the top Polish books ever. And czarna polewka was a soup that was served to a suitor as a way to reject him. So, for example, when you fell in love with a girl and came to propose, if you got this soup served to you, that means a no in a very polite way. So the soup was the way to say yes or no. That is really interesting. That's why I think it was popular in the past, but right now, czernina, you are right that in Poland it's only northern Poland. I was like 25 probably, or 26. When I tried it for the first time in a restaurant, it was disgusting. I hated it really. It was so bad. But after that, I've tried a homemade czarnina, and it was pretty amazing because the taste is sweet and sour. It's unique, and I think this soup is great to try.
Yeah, it's there was this story, and this is a long time ago now, where my great grandmother was making it, and the neighbor tried it and said, "Oh, this is really good," but she didn't want to tell him what it was made out of, so she called it chocolate soup.
Mhm.
And so he said, "Oh, I really like that chocolate soup. Could you make that chocolate soup?" So that's fine. Yeah, I've actually never tasted it either. We haven't made it for years, but it was just something I knew that was back in the cupboards.
Yeah. It's very hard to get duck blood. That's why the soup is not that easy to cook. That's the main reason. You can't get it in
Yeah.
a shop like anywhere.
It's great because I love to cook. I absolutely love to cook, and I have a book of recipes that was my grandmother's and my great grandmother's, and some of them have some Polish recipes. There's kind of gołąbki in there, kryszczyki, but the main one, of course, is pierogi, and it's funny, so like we called our podcast "Pierogi to Prayer," because it's, even though you see a variation of pierogi all over Eastern Europe and really all over the world. If you think about Chinese dumplings, Italian ravioli, it's all kind of a variation of the pierogi. I mean, why do you think though that it is so a part of Polish cuisine? I mean, everyone here, they think pierogi, they think Polish, like aside from like all the meat eating, like the kielbasa that you mentioned. The perception is that if you ask anyone on the street, I'm sure, name a Polish food, they're going to say pierogi.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I'm just curious what you think of that as a native Pole.
First off, they are delicious, so the taste is great.
True.
So that's
True.
the main reason. But I also think that's because pierogi are cheap and it's very easy to get all the ingredients for pierogi. So the dough requires just flour and water. That's it. And you can put anything inside of the pierogi. Fruits, meat filling, sauerkraut filling, cabbage filling, traditional potatoes and farmer's cheese, sweet cheese, anything what you have. So it's very simple to make. You don't need to have any special ingredients. And they are delicious when you boil them, and when you fry them with butter. They are so great. So I think that's the main reason why.
Yeah, no, I guess that's certainly true. If it tasted horrible, it probably wouldn't have as wide of an appeal. Yeah, I'm starting to get hungry already talking about this. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, there's. Have you ever been to Philadelphia,
No.
to our area by chance? No. So there's a regional dish here called the cheesesteak, and it's very sliced finely steak, and it's made on the grill, and then it's mixed with cheese and of course but onion and peppers. I mean, you make it and you put it on a sandwich, a long roll, and it's delicious. It's terrible for you, but a reason I bring this up in particular is because there's a pierogi place in Philadelphia, and they have cheesesteak pierogi.
Wow.
So they've taken the steak and everything, and they put it in there. So yeah, you can really fill it with anything.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Have you seen kind of a regional variation of that? I'm just curious around. I mean, you said like your husband's family from Wielkopolska.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for
they don't even
example,
have them, but
buckwheat pierogi are probably regional. I've seen like pierogi with mint or some kind of herbs. Nettle, for example, it's pretty interesting. Pierogi with nettle and cheese. So yeah, you can put anything that you want inside of pierogi. For example, I like
Yeah.
pierogi with prunes, and in my husband's area, that's something pretty unique. They've never had it. And when I'm making pierogi, I really put anything that I have. If I have the dough left, I just open the fridge and put whatever I have, and I know that it will be great.
The dessert one. So like right about now, the blueberries and the
Yeah,
strawberries are coming out,
yeah,
truskawki, and so we'll be making them the dessert pierogi, which are just
yeah.
phenomenal. And it's kind of an interesting thing too, where here in Polonia and Polish America, when you say pierogi, they just think of pierogi ruskie,
Yes.
the potato and cheese. And there, I remember I took to work some of these pierogi, with truskawka,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you can put fruit in these? Or these are delicious." But even you talk to Polish Americans about fruit
Yeah.
pierogi, and sometimes it's like, wow, I don't think outside the box a lot. I guess.
So my problem is that my family doesn't really like pierogi. My husband, my kids, they just don't enjoy them, and I feel really sad because I can make pierogi like every few days for them, but nope. It's like, oh, pierogi, okay, we will eat it, but not really. But gołąbki, I make every week or every 2 weeks because they love it.
That's yeah. I mean, we make it and love it all. I can't imagine someone not liking pierogi, but hey, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
especially for
yeah.
me because I just cooking is my way of life, and as you said that for Polish cuisine pierogi is number one, and I think it's like hilarious that my family that have me at home they don't like them.
Yeah, that is kind of ironic, I guess. We talked a little bit about your own efforts to promote Polish cooking and across the Polish diaspora. So, what do you think would be ways that we could promote kind of Polish cuisine here, both greater awareness within our own Polish American community, but also kind of across uh, the country as a whole? What would you see as ways to kind of do that?
I think we should support each other instead of like fighting with each other. The way I see it, because I have like a few 100,000 people following me, there are so many people that are hateful, and it's really sad that instead of like, I know that I am not perfect and any like person is not perfect. However, I can still feel that we like expect people to be perfect, like ideal, and it's a problem. So if you see a Polish person, support his or her business, buy from them, share something online, a post or anything, because this is the way we can just grow and more people can know about Poland, Polish cuisine, Polish traditions. Because that's how I feel it. For example, one of the largest Facebook group online, I can't even like post there because they can see me as a competition, and this is the problem, that we shouldn't like compete with each other. And for example, the moderator of this group, she kept messaging, send me messages that I'm not good enough, that I shouldn't post because that a shame what I'm doing, I should be ashamed of myself. And I get so many messages like that, like every day from Polish people, that I should just stop whatever I'm doing because I'm just terrible. And I think that all the people like, who try to do something, they get this hate. It shouldn't be like that, I think, because if you want Poland and Polish cuisine to be like promoted everywhere, the first step would be to just support each other, or at least don't interrupt in other person's like job.
I'm really kind of shocked at that. Um, yeah, I mean, there is a nastiness I think that can come out of anyone, especially when I guess there's competition involved. But that's really sad,
Yeah.
because it's and especially because it's. I feel like everyone I know, all we want to do is promote our Polish culture at all costs,
Yeah.
and to have that kind of like you said, hatred or factionalism is really sad. You don't want that, but I think I think that message of 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 tolerance and working together is something that is lost in society at large, particularly at the moment. It is. I mean, there's when things get political, of course, the divisions happen, but it's certainly been exacerbated in recent years, especially here. And I know in Poland as well. I mean, there was a very contentious presidential election that just happened,
Yeah.
and so that brings it out in people. But then when you think when there's a cultural item, something like
Yeah,
that,
because one of
that's
the
surprising.
main like problems that people have is my English, and I know that my English is not perfect, and I have a strong accent, but I don't know why it bothers people that much. Because when I see people who speak, for example, with Indian accent, like they don't have a problem to Indian people that have accent or any other nationality. But Polish people may be like ashamed of their Polish accent for some reason. They want to be more like American, and we are just going back to trauma that we were not good enough. Probably that's the main reason. But yeah, I think that's the language is one of the main problems for people when it comes to me.
Hmm. I mean, your English is perfect. Your English is better than my Polish. And the language, that's something that I wish, because there's the more generations that fall away from the initial immigrants, the more the language has kind of been lost. There's even like people will say pierogies. I can't even.
Mhm.
I have to force myself to say it. Or kielbasa. Uh, you know. And even another big one is the Polish word for grandmother is babcia.
Busia.
But
Yeah.
for bush.
I know that Polish
Oh,
Americans
okay,
say
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and that was like the initial American. But then there's a lot of people say babci
Babci.
as grandmother, and I've heard there's a friend of mine, and she's becoming a grandmother again, and she said she wants to go by babci, and I said to her, I said, well, you know, babci means is plural, like that's many grandmothers.
Hmm.
So I say, really should be babcia. So she's going to go by babcia now. Long story short, but that's not an isolated phenomenon. I've seen and heard that a lot. Um, and so I wish we would promote our language a little bit better.
Mm.
I think they try to do it in the different parishes. We don't have one, unfortunately, but across the river in Philadelphia, there's a couple Polish language schools for children, and then the Polish home Dom Polski that's over in Philadelphia. They have classes as well for adults, but it's the language thing is something I wish we would work on a little bit better here
Mm.
in the U.S. And I think part of the reason is because Polish is so different than
So,
English
yeah.
that it can be very difficult, I guess, for people who don't grow up with it
Mhm.
to learn. But it's funny that you say that Poles have this subconscious, because I think there's a lot of us, myself included, who long to be fluent in Polish, who long to know it better, who are, because I'm very self-conscious about speaking Polish. And I understand it very well when I hear it, but putting the words together to respond, and I've had friends and relatives, and I've gone over to Poland that say, "Oh, you speak Polish very, very well," and I was like, I'm embarrassed. I feel like kind of
No,
that
you
same sense
shouldn't
of
be, because
perfectionism.
Polish people love when foreigners or people with different accent speak Polish. Like we really love it, and we love like people assimilating with Polish culture so much that recently we have the Corpus Christi celebration in Łowicz,
Mhm.
which is like when people were wearing traditional folk clothes, and there was a one family from Japan that dressed in folk costumes, like Polish Łowicz costumes, and it went viral. Like all the medias talk about it, that it's so amazing that somebody from such a different country can appreciate our Polish culture, our folk clothes. And it's the same with the language. When you hear somebody, when Polish people hear somebody speaking Polish, even basics, they are just, wow, that's so amazing. Because in Poland, we are like, people are very afraid of foreigners. For example, that illegal immigrants will come here, because Poland is like 98% probably white Catholic people. That's all. Polish people are probably afraid that it will change. But if they see that someone is trying and they don't want to just take away Poland or Polish cuisine from them, Polish culture, Polish language from them, but they are trying to assimilate, that's just wow. So don't be shy about speaking Polish, because I can hear that you are just speaking many words. That means that you are understanding a lot.
Good. My wife helps too. She speaks. She grew up with Polish, even though she was born here
Oh.
first. So, and we kind of speak a mix of Polish and English in the house, and we want our son to speak Polish
Mm.
fluently. So she's definitely helped me in the past 5 years we've been married. um, but I'm just kind of curious for my own, like that sort of a sense of all Catholic, all white Caucasian population. Do you think that presents challenges sometimes too, as well? Does it make it like, is it more isolating?
So yeah, we have this like expectations of the way you should behave, the way you should think, and that we should all be the same. For example, that you should get married probably before you are 30. Then family keep asking, when are you going to have kids? Then you have the first kid, and that's like great. When are you going to have the second one? And it's very straightforward, it's not gentle, but Polish families asking like, what is happening, why are you not having this kid right now? And when you have two kids, then like you are happily married, that's like a perfect picture. And you are also expected to go to church. And in Poland, I think it's very sad, but it's not about the faith, but it's about a tradition of going to church.
Mm.
So you need to dress up nicely, and the entire family need to dress up nicely, go to church on Sunday morning, and then you can start a day. It's I don't feel that many people in Poland truly believe and truly go to church because they just feel it like in their hearts. It's mostly because the society thinks it's like what they should do. But it's changing. For example, in Podkarpacie, it's considered the most Catholic area of Poland. So the churches are always full, that you can't even sit inside the church if you come late, for example. Not late, but if the mass starts at 11, when you come at 11, you probably won't have a spot to sit. And in Wielkopolska, in my husband's area, it's not the same, because the churches are getting empty, because people realize that going to church just because your mom or grandma say that you should is not a way to live. And for me, I think it's great, because it will be better if the churches are like more empty, but with people who truly believe and they make a great community, than a church full of people who are there only because they think that they should.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I noticed that a little bit in Poland as well. There was kind of this, you went because it was expected, and I grew up Catholic, and it was kind of the same thing. Like, you went because you had to. And it wasn't until I became an adult where I went to college and I studied theology and philosophy a little bit more, and it challenged my faith, and I kind of fell away from the church for a little bit, based on that. But when you get down to kind of the real message, which is essentially be kind to others, especially people that are on the margins, people that are different, and you can find something there,
Mm-hmm.
and but that hasn't been necessarily what's been on display. I mean, and especially now. I mean, we've had the same problem in our area. I mean, they're declining priests, they've closed churches and merged them, and you see less and less people. But yeah, like I agree with you. I would rather see smaller faithful
Mm-hmm.
people. I would like to see large faithful people, but it's like there can be that sense of there was this quote that I was, going to a church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to a garage makes you an automobile.
Yeah.
um, so it's like, practice what you preach, and I think there's a longing for that. I think that there's a lot of things within Christianity that it's like I said, be kind to others, and that sort of thing that people are longing for. The people that they see that label themselves as Christians don't practice it, which is sad.
Yeah, so in
It's
Poland,
really
you can
sad.
see that after the mass, some like old ladies can gather and speak badly about all the other people in the church. For example, look at her, the way she dressed up, it's like ugly, or she
Hmm.
doesn't take care of herself. And it's right before they like get the Holy Communion. It's it's
Yeah,
so bad. That's why I'm happy that it's changing, because it shouldn't be like that.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. It's yeah, that sort of nastiness. The like group. There's, I think it was is it it's an old Polish word, I've been told, but komushki. It's like older
Kumoszki.
women who komushki.
Kumoszki.
Yeah, it's like older gossipy women kind of.
Yeah.
Because I used that, and at one point my mother-in-law was like, "Wow, that's like something my grandmother would say." Um, so
Is it the same in the
yeah,
US, like in American churches, Polish American churches, or it's different?
oh, absolutely,
Okay, so it's the same.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, and like, and it's not to also, there are people who are genuinely interested and, intentional about what they believe. But yeah, I mean, it's the same type of I'll call it hypocrisy,
Yes.
that is out there. And it's something that we've tried, I think, because like our parish is in Camden, which is one of the most dangerous cities in the country.
Oh.
And the original, it was originally settled in late 1800s, and they built this massive, beautiful church. I mean, it sits 1,000 people, and the neighborhood around it is not Polish anymore at all. And a lot of and everybody left the city. There was some violence, especially the 60s, 70s, that drove a lot of people out of the city. And there's people who are afraid to come back to Camden to go to mass. Not that much really doesn't happen like
Mhm.
that, but it's also a sense of, and I bring this up all the time. I'm like, well, honestly, if Jesus were here today, he would be in Camden, because that's where
Yes.
the people who really. So I say that to people, but they're very comfortable in their own sort of like
Yeah.
whatever suburban parish or what have you. It's comfort breeds that, and it's just so
So when I
yeah.
was traveling the world, I loved visiting, like going to churches in the places that are not Catholic at all. For example, you have one church and there are like 500,000 people living in the city. And when you have this community of people in the church on the single mass that is happening during this day, it like feels so amazing, because you can see that the priest is so happy that there are people in the church. And he's like, for example, in I was spending Easter in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So that priest came over and gave like shake hands with every single person that was in the church. He gave like an Easter blessed egg to share, and I felt so amazing. I also was in the church in Hong Kong, and it was pretty much the same, because these people, they can really feel and they know why they are like in the church, why they are like believing. And I hope that Poland will come to this point one day, because for example, I have some friends that SU, that they just stopped going to church, and after some time they realized that they want to be a part of this like community. They want to pray, and they make a beautiful families that base like their family values on faith, on Jesus. And I think it's like pretty amazing, because I know that this is their choice, not something that grandma or mom is expecting from them.
Yeah, it's hard to. This area of southern New Jersey was very thick with Catholic parishes, and when they merged them, closed a lot, about half of them. You know, people were up in arms, which I mean, is understandable. But it was also like there are places in the world, like you said, where there's people go for miles and miles and miles, and there's one mass and it's packed, and people don't want to drive an extra 10 minutes down the road here at times, so they're kind of addicted to their own convenience, and it's like, so okay, well, what are you getting out of it? Is it just kind of like something to do, or do so? Yeah, I definitely noticed that. that here, and that's not just Poles. It's kind of our society as a large.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, and it's, I mean, the church hasn't done itself any favors. I mean, this, the same thing that kind of has been going on in Poland, was of course broke here first.
Yes.
So, and that's just, I mean, you mentioned your babcia and your mom and your aunts cooking. Do you have kind of so, I mean, so much of how these recipes have been passed down has been getting together and doing them with family members and kind of create those warm memories. Do you have a particular memory that kind of talks about how this all really inspired you and brought you into this joy of cooking?
I remember my grandma waiting for me when I was going back from school with pierogi, because I was living with my grandparents and my family up until I was 12 years old. So we were in the same house, and my grandma was making like the best pierogi in the world. And she was waiting for me. The pierogi were like freshly boiled, and she always served it with a glass of warm milk as well, and I loved it. And my mom was always like very angry at me that I'm eating dinner at my grandma's because she made something as well. But my grandma was like cooking better. That's the truth. It was so great. So yeah, that's what I remember. I also remember my grandma making amoniaczki. This is like ammonia cookies. Do you know what is ammonia? It's like baker's ammonia. It's because when you are cooking, you are either using baking powder or yeast, but it's also in Poland. Sometimes we use baker's ammonia. It has a very strong taste, strong smell. So if you smell it, you are sneezing instantly. So I remember when my grandma was making these cookies, she was just giving me the jar of this ammonia to smell, and I was sneezing, and it was kind of funny for me when I was a child to smell it. And I also loved when my mom or grandma were making cakes or something sweet, because they always let me lick the spoon after they make the cream or custard. So I was waiting for that. I have many memories because, as you know, in Poland, food is a huge part of any celebration. I also loved making pierogi and uszka before Vigilia. We had these family traditions that we gathered, I think maybe 13, 10 people, different family members. We were coming one day before Vigilia to make uszka, which are the small dumplings that you put in the Christmas, Polish Christmas soups, and also pierogi. So we made like probably a few thousand of pierogi all together, and everybody just took a small part back home. And it was very fun because we were laughing, we were singing kolendy. And I'm really sad that we don't do it anymore. We stopped a few years ago because my mom and my auntie said that they don't want to make homemade pierogi anymore. They prefer to pay someone to make them. And it's pretty sad that we don't have it anymore, because this tradition was amazing. So the women were like making this pierogi, and men were cleaning the houses and do all the households, and they were coming just to pick some pierogi when nobody sees. Like, so yeah, it is a great memory for me.
That's great. It's the same type of things happen here.
Oh.
It's just that pre-Vigilia assembly line of the one year I remember we actually had a tally of how many we were making. It was like, I don't remember, it was a couple hundred of, and then my father-in-law coming in and stealing one, and it's like you can say, it like lights up both of our faces talking about this, because it is like, I mean, I think that's kind of why, and I mean, this happens in pretty much every culture. There's always this sense of unity and this around food, because it's, when you're involved in something like that, you share these memories and interaction, and it builds something around food, and there's a sense of accomplishment when it tastes really good. even when it doesn't. And it's just, yeah, it's such a beautiful part of any culture
Mm.
of food.
Yes, I
Um,
remember my grandma also like always melt butter on a pan, and when we were finally eating pierogi after we made all this pierogi, she would always come with this pan and a spoon, and she pour an extra butter on every like plate that we are eating to have even more butter, and it was so delicious. And she also always counted pierogi because she wanted to know how many we made.
that's really, really great. Do you have a particular Polish favorite Polish food?
Bread.
I mean, there is
Yes,
so many bread.
definitely bread. Yes, that's what I always miss when I'm traveling because I think Polish bread is the best in the world, right? Really, we have so many different kinds of bread. Sourdough, we have buns, rolls, everything is so delicious. You can make it homemade, but it's also very easy to buy a good quality bread like anywhere in Poland. And Polish people are really crazy about bread because when we spot something like a place that has a great bread, it's maybe it's only my family and friends, but we also always call each other like, "Hey, I'm in this bakery. They have this delicious bread. Do you want some?" And you are buying like many many types to try. Then you are choosing the one, and for example, once a week somebody is going there just to buy this bread because we love it so much.
That's you could have just that describes like exactly what goes on here.
Okay.
It's so funny. It's oh my gosh, that's just yeah. Seriously, that description
Wow.
could have been taken out of anything. Just that's really cool. Yeah, we'll drive. There's a bakery up in Trenton that which is not particularly close to here. I mean, it's like probably a good hour at least
Wow.
to go up there to because they have really good bread.
Mhm.
So, oh, that's great. That's really, really wonderful. Are there any particular projects that you're working on that things that are coming ahead, and maybe another book, perhaps, or what's kind of going on with Polish foodies?
Okay, so I'm working on the Polish Foodies Club, which is an online platform with all my recipes, video recipes, also all my cookbooks in an ebook version. Because as I said, I started in 2019 as a food blogger, but I've realized that like publishing recipes is not really enough for me because I know that people like they want to cook, but when you are cooking Polish food, you are Polish, you just want more. You want to understand the culture, the cuisine, like the traditions, everything, what is happening in Poland in every single month, because you want to connect like even deeper with your Polish heritage. And I just wanted to put it all together in one place, and that's what the Polish Foodies Club is all about, because it's an online platform that is like you get access to different models every month, so that you know what is happening in Poland, what you can cook, what is fresh. I also publishing exclusive cooking classes, and there's a separate community all about it because I didn't feel that there is a place like that anywhere where people like can understand what Polish cuisine and traditions are all about. Because as you know, if you want to cook something, you can Google how to make pierogi, but it's like you make pierogi and that's it. It's great to understand why we eat pierogi, like how many versions, like you said that somebody was surprised that you can make pierogi with fruits, and you can't really write it all in a single like blog post because people don't really like reading. They keep scrolling, jump to recipe, that's it. So so this is the Polish Foodies Club, and we already have a few hundred members, and I think it's beautiful. It's very time consuming for me because putting it all together in one place, it's very like time consuming, but I think it's great because if you join this Polish Foodies Club, there is a monthly fee, a small monthly fee, so that everyone can afford it, and so that I can make it, because like this is my full-time job and I have family. Like I'm working like really hard every day, so that you get access to everything that you want to connect with your Polish heritage, with cuisine, and also other people, because as I said, we have few hundred members right now, So this is what I'm working on, and I really like, my goal for the next year is probably to make a tour to Poland for the Polish foodies community, because so many people are asking about it, that they love like watching everything that I do online, but they also want to come and see by themselves all these places that I'm showing. And I can see that many people are like afraid of traveling to Poland because they, as you said, they don't understand Polish and they think that they should speak Polish to travel here, which is not true, because in, I think many people in Poland speak English, and you also have Google Translate that you can simply use and communicate with everybody. So I would really like to bring more people to Poland so that they can taste, smell, see everything, especially summer, June, May. It's the most beautiful season of the year in Poland, in my opinion.
That's great. I mean, sign me up. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's not that easy. I'm really busy, but that's my goal for
Yeah.
the next year. I really want to do it. I have some people
Yeah.
that came to Poland already, because there is a tour company that I work closely with, and some Polish foodies members came last year. Some are coming this year, and I know they love it. So I have a good company right now, but putting it all together, that's a challenge.
It is. Yeah. It's, I think a lot of people, because even doing this is, we're ending our first year of doing this. And we put out a episode once a month, and particularly the ones that I write from start to finish.
Mhm.
Like the next one coming out in July is on Polish ocean liners
Mm.
on ships, and it came out to be almost an hour, and but so it's an hour of writing something, research and fact checking and things like that, and it's really very time
Yeah.
consuming to go in. You boil a couple, how many hours, 100 into one episode, and it's like, oh, I have to do it again next month. It can really be daunting. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think you're doing absolutely wonderful work. Like I said, there's so many people, because like we have a meeting every couple months at church to talk about like different things that are going on, and everybody asks, okay, so give us an update on the podcast, how are things going. And when I first brought up, it was it was funny. I said, oh, I'm having this really wonderful guest. She runs called Polish Foodies, and like a couple of people were like, oh my gosh, you're gonna interview Karolina? Oh my gosh, like. Yeah, so I mean, your audience here is really very
Wow.
vast. So you're doing wonderful work, and
Well, thank you for
it's
saying that, because I don't
yeah,
really have a chance to talk with people like in person and to see like their feedback. It's pretty like lonely job, because I'm doing it all
yeah,
by myself and publish online. I publish a new video every day, so it's like one every day. It's very like challenging. And
yeah.
apart from
Oh,
that, doing all the other work, that's why but I
and
truly love it, and I think it's so important to share Polish cuisine, culture, everything, because this is what I love. And sometimes I wake up at night and I have a new idea what I can do, and when I can't sleep, I'm going down at home to do something, because this is what's truly like, I love it. I really love.
it shows. I mean, and it shows results in it. It's just it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Really, it's great. And on top of the most important job, which is being a mama,
Yeah.
and and a wife and mother, which
Yeah, so
yeah,
so my
it's
kids
great.
are watching me doing all this work all the time, because for me, I don't really see this line between work and family, because what I'm doing online is showing my family, like everything that we do, it's all very natural. So my kids are often saying, "Hey, Mama, you can take a photo of this for the Polish foodies because it looks pretty amazing," or maybe you can show this, and they are excited about this as well. My daughter is also like watching me taking photos, and she can really feel like how the photo should look like to be good. So she said, "Oh, take this, or maybe do something." For example, we were taking a photo of gołąbki, and I couldn't really think of how to, because gołąbki are, they don't really look good.
Right. Yeah.
And I was thinking what I can do to make it look good. And my daughter, who is 7 years old, said, "Hey, mommy, we can take tomato sauce. I will pour it over gołąbki and take a photo when the sauce is pouring down and it will look good." I took a photo and it was pretty amazing. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's great. That's really, really wonderful. Oh,
Because you're like, did they know that?
I think I'm gonna go and saute some pierogi now, even though it's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Great
but-
breakfast.
Oh, absolutely! I've definitely had pierogi for breakfast. Thank you really so much, Dziękuję. This was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. It was really nice. Okay, great. Thank you. I have
Yeah,
like
it absolutely
80
was.
pounds of strawberries waiting for me to make the strawberry
Oh.
jam. So,
Oh, go right ahead. Don't let me hold you up. But it was really wonderful. I really, really, truly appreciate it.
Hopefully you have enjoyed our discussion with Karolina and will seek out her online community of Polish foodies, which we will link to on our social media pages and in our show notes. And if you haven't grabbed a plate of pierogi already, I'm sure you will as soon as you can. I know I did after this interview. We at the podcast also wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you are looking for a place to celebrate the Pasterka, you can come to St. Joseph's at 10 o'clock p.m. on Christmas Eve, and also enjoy the singing of Kolenda, or Polish Christmas carols, starting at 9:30 p.m., as generations have for over a century. If the Vigilia runs a little long, and or you would prefer, you can also come to the 10 a.m. Christmas Day Mass on the 25th. Wherever and however you celebrate, we sincerely hope that you will do so with the solemn break in the Opłatek, and some delicious borscht czerwony and pierogi, of course. My wish for you, as I extend my Opłatek blessing virtually, is that you will continue to learn about and celebrate Polish culture in every way. Continue listening to our program, following and subscribing to us, and seek out St. Joseph's in the new year. Until next time, saute some pierogi and go sit with the saint. Dziękujemy, do usłyszenia, and wesołych świąt.